Martin O'Neill 2012, away to Man City in the Premier League. This is how far back you have to go to find something comparable to the QPR game, which went exactly as expected for the first 83 minutes, and then the best iceberg Isaiah Chair will throw at a team this season set us up to sink in the dying minutes of the game. It felt like a defeat, and we asked all sorts of questions. Why did Neil not make subs earlier to clearly very tired players? Why did he withdraw Sims and invite the pressure on our defence and midfield through them moving up? In truth, these things don't matter, because 95 times out of 100, we see out that game and win. I've got a feeling that seeing out the game might be a topic we return to quite a few times this season. In any case, that was another mid-table championship side that we could have easily walked away with 3 points from. We're certainly not outclassed in this division. Then there was Wednesday night and the loss to Sheffield United. After the red card, much of what happened was simply about assessing the character of the team and getting the chance to see the likes of Matete and Wright come into it. On the whole, there was much to be pleased with given the circumstances, although it is clear that we are very thin on quality in the squad. We can look at the red card though, because it's related to the way Alex Neil wants us to play and our style. I've talked about this before, about how Alex Neil likes to play out from the back via a central defensive midfielder dropping to collect the ball, and the fullbacks and wingbacks pushing wide and high to help overload one side and provide one-on-ones to our wingers. Usually this is implemented on the left-hand side to give Sirkin and Clark the chance to beat players. Some teams, however, have done their homework on this, and they can launch quick presses on this central defensive midfielder, knowing that we're very open behind him. Watch Coventry do it to Dan Neil here. Coventry's front two are trying to cut off the wide defenders and force Bart into our standard play of distributing forwards to the dropping defensive central midfielder. Dan Neil obliges and drops to receive as he should do, but Gustav Hamer rushes in at this point to complete the press, knowing that Dan Neil will now be surrounded by 3 Coventry players. Dan Neil is slow to realise what is going on, and we almost concede as a result. This is definitely a targeted play by Coventry. Against Sheffield United, the goal comes from a similar situation out of our usual structured play. As the ball comes back to Bart here, watch 09 move wide from his current position, just left of the midway point, and watch Dan Neil drop back to collect the ball and begin our turnaround. But the Sheffield United forward presses and makes the ball back to Patterson or across to the now distant 09 too risky, so the familiar pass to Dan Neil is preferred, but the Blades' press continues, knowing Sunderland are in big trouble if they succeed. Neil thinks about the turn and realises the danger too late, and it all goes horribly wrong. Now, Dan Neil is only 20, this is not his natural position, and he's still adjusting to the pace of the league. But Evans makes better decisions here, and it shows just how much we miss him when he's not available, so getting some covering is going to be crucial. In any case, on to the next game. So, what does a visit to Stoke City hold in store for us? They've lost the last 6 of their 8, and if you include pre-season, 3 of those losses were against League One opposition, so on the face of it, this might seem like a chance for us. Stoke are managed by Michael O'Neill, who joined in 2019 from being Northern Ireland manager, where he led the Green and White Army to Euro 2016 qualification, their first major tournament for 30 years. He's had muted success since arriving at Stoke. The last 3 seasons have seen a 15th and 2 consecutive 14th place finishes. This close season, they've shipped out 8 players, including Stephen Fletcher, Joe Allen, Tom Ince, and Benik Afobe. They've brought in 10 players to replace them, including the 5 maximum loan players allowed, all of those from Premier League sides, and an ageing Dwight Gale from Newcastle. They've no money for transfers due to financial fair play, and thus they are genuinely struggling with the injuries they have at the moment. There will certainly be players playing out of position this weekend. O'Neill likes to line up 3-5-2 like clockwork, and this won't change despite not having the personnel to fill that system, much to the distress of Stoke City fans. And generally they play a quite tough, safe style of play, very Stoke City if you like. Looking at the average player positions for Stoke City, you can see that they largely play through the middle of the park, with between 6 and 9 players well inside the 16-yard lines. They do not defend from the front, and their shape sits mostly in the midfield, with fewer than 3 players per game averaging positions beyond the centre circle. So we're up against a team that will likely try and dominate the middle of the park. They'll probably win quite a bit of ball in and around the centre circle, but they won't press us too high. Thankfully, though, they won't have the personnel to justify their wing-back formation. Stoke have a 76% pass accuracy, the worst team we've played so far, and ours has improved steadily in this division to 78% in the last few games, so we might fare okay here. We lose possession similar amounts of times, get beaten by a dribble similar amounts of times, make similar amounts of tackles, and have a similar cross success rate. So across the park, we seem to be similar in capability to Stoke. We have a similar number of shots per game and shots on target. However, we are one of the highest threats in the division on goal, with 5.3 shots on target per game and a 12% conversion rate. While Stoke are similar with 4.5 shots per game, they only have a 7% conversion rate. So slightly fewer shots and a lower conversion rate. A slight advantage for us in goal threat then. There are two clear areas of difference in the statistics though. We are a much more attack-minded team. We have more corners, more dribbles, and greater dribble success. They are much more combative and dominate us in terms of duels won, aerial duels, and interceptions. This extends to set pieces, where Stoke are third for goal efforts from set pieces. Given our seeming fragility recently in set pieces, it is an area of concern for Saturday. It isn't that we're bad in aerial duels. We sit 17th in the league, but Stoke are good. They're third and have us considerably dominated in their success of aerial duels. Stoke are also top of the league for interceptions compared to us in 11th, but they don't win possession in the final third any more than we do. Most of those interceptions are in their defensive shape and in the middle of the park. Josh Tymon is perhaps their best threat, a regular last season at left wing-back, but happily he's injured at the minute, as is another ever-present last season, central defensive midfielder Josh Lauren. Good for us. Stoke do have some talented players, but they're either new players, developing players, or loans. Jacob Brown is the most established threat. Top scorer last year with 13, he has scored in back-to-back home games this season and will be wanting to keep that up this Saturday. He's played 4 times for Scotland but failed to score, so another player Ross Stewart will be looking to outdo on the pitch. Captain and penalty taker Lewis Baker in the heart of their midfield is another threat. He's a quality player and has the best pass success rate of anyone in the team, with 92% success rate against Borough. Most of the possession flows through him, and he provides more shots and assists than anyone else in the midfield. Simply put, shut down Baker and much of Stoke's current threat will be neutralised. They also have Dwight Gale signed from Newcastle in the closed season. He was once a major threat in this division, but he's nearly 33. He's played 4 games this season with no goals and 1 assist. He's not going to set the league on fire this time. Defensively, we are poor. We're 3rd for XG against, but Stoke aren't much better. They're 5th for XG against. We've both conceded 7 goals so far in the league this season, placing us 21st and 22nd for goals conceded, so there will be goals this weekend. Neil will likely stick to his 3-4-1-2 formation, not least because he needs to combat Stoke's dominance in the middle of the park. They average a man over in the middle on player positions, but we have more space on the wings. So, see us try to press Stoke high and early to prevent their play through the middle of the park, and for us also to try and use our width from the back with whoever takes up the distribution roles in defensive central midfield, and watch Sirkin and Gooch push wide to try and target their wingbacks and fullbacks. We certainly should be attacking their wingbacks because they currently have no fit ones, and those playing there this weekend will be weak defensively and positionally. It's likely to be Fosu Henry and Thompson, both of whom have the lowest pass success rate in Stoke's back 9, so we must be pressing them. Injury for us means that the team likely picks itself. With Bart injured, Wright will come in. 09 will likely remain on the right-hand side of a back 3. Choices then get interesting for the defensive central midfielder. With Neil out, a lot will depend on if Corey Evans is fit. If he is, he plays, but who alongside him? Normally Neil likes the most balanced player in terms of defence and attack. This will likely mean Embleton gets the nod next to Evans, but if Evans isn't fit or if Neil judges Stoke's strength in the middle of the park sufficient enough, he may play Matete, who did well when he came on against Sheffield United. So it's either Evans and Embleton or Matete, or Embleton and Matete if Evans isn't fit. Up front against a fragile defence, we need to keep up the pressure, and so hopefully the SAS will start as well. This is a tough game, and if you're a betting man, you can certainly bet on a lot of cards, as both teams top the discipline charts this season, and both teams are likely to score, with both having fragile defensives. Neil will be aiming not to lose this game, but it is one we might be able to win.